I'm going to tell you about a recluse by the name of J.D. Salinger. How many people here read this book? You know why? Because it's required reading in America. If you do this in Europe, nobody raises their hand. But I want to know, I never read it. I went to college. I went to the University of Memphis, Memphis State, and I played football there. But I really didn't do too much of schoolwork. And I never read The Catcher in the Rye. I'm partners with Tina Sinatra, and she calls me up one day and says, Alan, I spoke to my father, who was Frank Sinatra. I told him you could do anything. You could sell anything to anybody. Go get the book rights from J.D. Salinger for The Catcher in the Rye. I said, where does he live? We don't know. Did you ever talk to him? No. I said, okay. My wife brought me the Cliff Notes. I don't know if they have Cliff Notes anymore, but in those days, Cliff Notes was like a summary of what the book was about. I still didn't understand the book, even though I read the Cliff Notes. But I did know he lived in Cornish, New Hampshire. So what I did was I went to the airport. That same day that Tina called me, I went to the airport. And before I left, I took a check from my company, and I made it out for $1 million. In the old days, we used to have a machine that goes like this, and it makes the check look really official. So I made this check out for $1 million. I must have had $14 in the account. I don't know, something like that. So I made it for $1 million. I made it out to J.D. Salinger, figuring if I meet the guy, I can give him the check. Frank will make it good, right? So I go to the airport, and I take a plane to Cornish, New Hampshire. Now, Cornish, New Hampshire only has one airport and had one plane going in and one plane going out. I landed in the morning, and I had to wait till that afternoon to go back. Landed, got off the plane, went to a cab, told the cab driver to take me to J.D. Salinger's house. Cab driver turned around and said, do you have an appointment with him? I said, no. He says, I can't take you there. Nobody's seen him in 20 years. I said, just take me there. I gave him a $100 bill. He turned around, he started driving, he took me to the guy's house. He pulled up into this house. Now, you got to know, years ago, we didn't have fences and gates like we have today. So we get up to his house, we pull onto this dirt road, and we stop in front of this house where there was a walking balcony up in the front. And I opened I was going to get out of the car, but there were dogs barking, and I didn't want to get bitten. So I opened up the window, and this old, tall, lanky guy came out. And again, I never even saw J.D. Salinger. I didn't know it was really him or what. But he came out on his balcony and yelling, get off my property. And the cab driver says, we got to get out of here. And he starts I said, no, stay. I want to talk to the guy. He says, okay. So the window's down, and the dogs are barking, and I'm saying, listen, are you J.D. Salinger? Get off my property. I'm not interested in talking to anybody. Get out of here. And I said to the cab driver, is that him? He said, yes. Okay. So I said, I know I'm talking to J.D. Salinger. Do me a favor. I work for a guy at Universal Studios. I made up the name because I didn't know what studio Frank was going to give it to, but I figured it had to be a big studio. So I said, I'm working for Universal Studios, and I have a check here for $1 million for you for the rights for The Catcher in the Rye. He says, get out of here. Hollywood will ruin it. I thought I had him going. Hollywood will ruin it, he said. So I said, okay, no, they won't. They'll give you the right to change it if you want. I didn't know the terminology, so I couldn't tell him the real terminology. So he says, no, I'm not interested. Get off my property. And he wasn't just saying get off my property. He was using some really, really bad language. And I stayed and I stayed. About 20 minutes goes by, and I said, look, there's just no way this guy's not interested. And how am I going to tell Tina and Frank Sinatra that I actually saw him? So I said, could you do me a favor? Can you just call L.A., my boss, and tell him that I was here? And he said to me, get off my property. I'm not calling anyone. So I left. I was sort of depressed. How am I going to, I know I could tell Tina and Frank that I saw the guy, but they're not going to believe me. And then all of a sudden, I get to the airport. I get to a phone. In those days, we didn't have phones in our pockets. And I dialed the phone. I got them on the phone in California. And they put me on speakerphone, and everybody in the office was laughing. And I'm going, what's so funny? How am I going to prove to you that I was there? They said, we just got a call from J.D. Salinger's manager. He says, don't ever send that guy back out here again. Thank you very much. I guess we're going to have questions here now,
We
right?
are, and so that is how you tell a story.